Hey, folks, this is Scott with Archery Unhinged with Jason and Mr. Bridger Deaton. Episode number 2, right?
Yep.
Could we start it over? We kind of revamped
Yeah,
this thing.
this is no longer seasons. We're just going back to
Yeah, there you go.
going back to the beginning.
Hey, we'll jump right into it. We got some crazy, good two big things happened in the archery world this past week. Need to talk about it. The Elite launched their new bow. What is that thing called? I don't even remember.
A Victra,
The Victra. Probably
like a victory, a verdict, and an echelon, and
exactly.
all of them
Yeah,
mixed DNAs and got one.
yeah. It's a pretty cool looking bow.
I mean, it looks similar. It's along the same like geometric platform as a lot of other target bows in the past. I think was it archery? Was it Unhinged or was it God? What is it? Archery Let Down and
Or hooligan.
or Hooligan that posted the picture, the Spider-Man meme where he's pulling his glasses off, and it's because it's almost the exact same specs, like riser, launch angle, and everything as the what was it, the old Halon X Comp from Matthews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been back in like 2017 or 18.
If you look at it, there's a lot of different influences in that bow from
Well, yeah,
other
and-
models out there.
Yeah. Well, right now, of course, they're getting a lot of what I've been reading tons of is this looks like a Darton departure and a Darton sequel had a baby.
Throw a little bit of title in there.
Yeah, a little bit of title. Of course, they have I think the most controversial part of that bow right now is that timing system in the yoke.
Yeah, well, I mean, controversial maybe. It's similar to the Darton one, but I actually would say it's a amalgamation halfway between the Darton twist yoke system and
The
Bill
Reckoning.
Martin.
yeah, the
Reckoning.
Bowtech
The Reckoning
system where
system.
there's instead of doing it on the yoke harness, it's on the cam,
Right.
and it just moves that cam lobe up and down to lengthen or perceivably lengthen or shorten the cable for your timing.
Look, from what I understand, I hear a lot of guys talking about that. Martin had a design like that back in the 80s. 90s.
Yeah, they did. They had like I can't remember what theirs were, if it was off of a steel cable system or not, but it was similar deal. It was 2 plates and you could stack, split or condense them together.
You know, what's crazy too is that, and I don't think it's even pertinent anymore, even if it was patented, that company no longer exists. And Martin, I think, has changed hands a couple of times. I think even went through bankruptcy back in the day. Either way, there's some type of a license agreement apparently, but they are using some of that technology in that new one. And I think the big difference between it and the Darton turns the yoke, which is what we do when we tune them in a bow press, and then the new system that Elise offered is pulling on that yoke.
Yeah, well, basically
It's rotating the cam versus twisting the cable.
No, you're just pulling or releasing that cable. So the amount you can change the length of the cable is based off of the thread pitch in that screw that's in that little yoke plate. Yeah. Whereas the Darton one, like I guess technically they're both still an infinite amount of adjustment as far as like how small of an adjustment you can make. But the Darton, to me, is potentially easier because you could literally like just barely move it, and you could feasibly do a one 1/100th of a twist.
Right.
Whereas, like, not saying it wouldn't work with the Elite because it definitely will. You just crank it in or out a little bit, but you may have to be a little more finicky. It may be slightly more finicky because the amount of adjustment with the thread pitch on those threads is going to be way more than just whatever that string is going to contract from twisting or untwisting.
Yeah, it looks like they went with a much steeper launch angle, I think, on the limb pocket, which I think that bow should point really well.
They stood their limbs up a little more. I don't know if the riser's I would assume the riser's shorter than the verdict.
It looked like it.
It looked like it was
shorter.
shorter.
They're both a 37.
Right.
They're both a 37, and the verdict the verdict's got a parallel limb set, whereas
to your point though, I think they went shorter riser, a little bit longer limb.
Yeah,
and
it's more
and pitched that sucker up more. So
closer to the echelon.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're comparing Elite model bows.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the verdict was all riser.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
All riser and tiny little limbs.
So I didn't read. Did you guys notice? I didn't see because my whole problem with the verdict system was it was just heavy. The bow was really tank heavy, and I'm wondering if this new one's lighter or not. I didn't see anything on the weights at all. Didn't hear a lot of feedback about it either because they launched it in Coleman at the Classic.
Yeah.
I heard the lines to shoot the bow were a mile long pretty much all weekend. I did talk to a couple guys that did shoot it, so they liked it, pointed well, draw cycle was nice. I think an upgrade over what they had, in my opinion.
Well, and they had a couple of their shooters input and work with the engineers and designers on that. So,
Yeah.
It's going to be a more shooter-friendly bow than just somebody that sits at a computer and goes, oh, this is a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be better, but I
I'll
don't
tell you
know.
one
I'm with you on the verdict. I shot that bow for a while, and it tore me up because it
it's
was
heavy.
way too heavy.
That bow was heavy.
Plus all the extra stuff that you want to put on it, turn it into a rock.
And it gets down to when you have a base platform that is as heavy as that bow was, I think it takes away the ability to stabilize the bow easier, make your stabilizers work and do the things that it's supposed to do with the bow. When you have that much mass weight and that much density in the right there at the grip, it's then you got to add so much more stabilizer weight to affect the bow, which now we make the whole system just heavier.
Well, and the other thing that I really disliked about the verdict platform was the amount of torque on the riser. As soon as I drew back and anchored in, I would look down and I would see my stabilizer pointing 5 degrees to the right.
Yeah.
And that
I hate to say it, but I think you're seeing something you're going to see in every bow moving forward. As they try to keep these weights down, those risers are going to twist.
I mean, almost no matter who you are, what type of shooter you are, unless you're Gabe Marcosi and stuck your hand in the meat grinder when you were 3 and use a stud to push against the bow.
Right.
And even Gabe, because his arm is offset to the side, or somebody in that same type of situation. Like because the cables are always on the right side of the bow for a right-handed shooter, left side of the bow for a left-handed shooter. For a normal dude, you're holding right-handed shooter because we're all righties.
Yep.
You're holding the bow, and the influence that we put on it because our arm is off to the left, so the string has room to travel and the cables have room to travel. We're turning the bow that direction anyways.
Right.
And then the cables are doing that as well. Which is why, that's why having the opportunity to be able to shimmer cams left and right, some bows have like a pocket shift system. With the Dartons, we have the deflection jack screws to kind of equalize. You try and use that to equalize the pressure on the riser so that you're getting the limbs to push down on it in the stiffest portion of it based on where you're holding it.
Right.
Because how you hold the bow is going to change where the center,
of course,
not where the center shot is, but where your center shot is as a shooter.
Right.
Because it's always going to, for the most part, it's always going to sit right where the highest percentage of pressure is on the bow. That's where that arrow wants to travel in line because that's where you're giving influence on the riser.
Yeah.
So I don't think people realize how much load is on those cables in that cable roller guard system.
Bro.
It's a lot.
Dude, if you've got a draw board at home, put your bow on the draw board and draw it back.
Yeah.
And before you draw it back, feel them. Your string and cables will have roughly the same amount of tension on them at rest.
Right.
And then draw that sucker all the way back. It doesn't matter what bow it is, unless it's like a round wheel bow from the 80s.
80s, right.
When you draw it back, those cables increase tension probably. I'd venture to say somewhere in the 2 times number range.
All day
but
long, yeah.
It's a significant amount.
Yeah. And then
For round numbers, we could say the cables increase tension or they double in tension, and the string probably cuts in half.
yeah, because that's one thing I was going to say. Be careful when you do this, but then you can go and touch your string,
and it just
and the
wobbles.
string
you can
has
push your
zero
string
load
down.
tension whatsoever, hardly. I mean,
Well,
you can literally push on it.
Some bows are better than others. I remember when Prime had the 1 series bows. Whatever that cam was notorious for having 0 string pressure. Because I remember testing one for a while, and I used to have really a lot of nose pressure on the string. And that bow, no matter what I did, unless I literally anchored off of the string like Rio used to do, I'd have a group that was 8 or 10 inches up and down. Because if you vary in pressure, you're moving that peep up and down. And the less tension that string has, the easier it is to move it. So the more it's going to end up moving.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. So, anyways, new bow that came out. I'll tell you one thing I did like that new. I forget what the color they call it, but that black cherry or whatever.
Oh yeah, they do have a couple cool
that
colors
red.
now.
Oh my gosh, that thing was beautiful. That was a cool color for sure. But I think it was a big hit at the Classic. I know that there's
I did look up pound or the weight difference. The Victor is 4.7 and the Verdict was 5.
5.
So it's almost a quarter
3
pound.
tenths, quarter pound. Yeah.
A little over a quarter pound difference.
Yeah, and most of the time those numbers are somewhat skewed, but the quarter pound is a lot.
Well, yeah, you say skewed. Most companies measure all their bow weights without any bolt-on accessories,
right.
but like the Dardens come with that little riser stabilizer deal. A lot of the Elite hunting bows come with them. The Matthews come with the riser, the 3D
riser
dampeners. Like every bow out there is measured without any of that.
All
shit
that stuff off.
Like they take all that shit out.
Yeah, and then they get it, and all of a sudden you pick it up, and I know there's some guys, and I've done it. You put it on a scale, and you're like, wait a minute, this is like 6 pounds.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, dude,
there's a half a pound of crap on it.
I took that front weight off the title when I started shooting it. That thing is 8 ounces on its own.
Yeah, that big brass riser weight.
Yeah.
I use that for fishing.
Those things are nuts heavy.
Yeah. So I guess the second big thing that happened this week is it finally came out, and I called this one, a long time ago, when that Truth bow, the new one that Kevin Struthers came out with, along with Brian Quacca from the Pigman series, they finally got, I think, a cease and desist letter from Bowtech, and I seen that one coming a mile away. Their cam shift system is
very similar,
if not just like Bowtech's. And Bowtech, we all know that Bowtech got rid of Athens Archery last year along the same lines, which stunk. Athens wasn't a small company. So now I think the $1 million question is the Truth Bow Company going to survive this? And, what's going to happen? They're going to pay royalties on it. Are they even going to allow it? Are they just going to shut them down? Because, that bow's gotten a lot of press in the last couple of months. There's a lot of guys out there that really like it. You'd mentioned, Butch Baker has got one, and he likes it a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens on that deal. But that was pretty obvious, and seen that one coming. Like I said, have you seen the cam shift technology?
I can't find their website. But just by looking at like different websites talking about it, it does sound similar. Yeah. Now they say it's patent pending and everything, which maybe I don't know what, I haven't had my hands on it enough to look.
Neither do I.
So I don't really know how it actually works. But I remember when Matthews came out with the Lift X and they had that limb adjustment system deal, everybody thought the same thing. But Matthews was just different enough. Theirs, they stack that limb in and out.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's shifting the cam.
It's not rotating the cam on the axle.
Yeah, the way the adjustment works is the same, but when you rotate the axle, it stacks the limb in and out.
Correct.
As opposed to just walking the cam back and forth on a worm gear.
Right. And I think that's the big issue here with that one. We'll see what happens. I know it's kind of weird. A lot of the forums and a lot of the people that are commenting on this, it's they're kind of like saying, "Hey, big brother Bowtech is going to squash another company,
another one,"
trying to get I think some PR on the side of the truth, so that as a small company they can kind of survive this potentially. I don't know, but it's and that's $1 million question. These companies that do that, do these guys not pay attorneys to look at patent potential problems? In a million years, when I seen it, yeah, dude, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Well, and I hate to be the guy that's supporting the mega corporation here, but I've had plenty of the shit that I've designed or come up with as goofy ideas. And granted, I'm one dude working with a Dremel tool and some JB Weld, but I'll build something that I feel like is a good idea and give and have somebody else take it. Blows ass.
Yeah, it does.
When it's a good idea, man. So and I know, they worked on that for a while. They've had it. When did they come out with that? Was that
3 months ago?
No.
The cam shift. Oh my gosh.
Bowtech.
Since the Reckoning?
Yeah, it was the original Reckoning, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's
not
I remember when it came out, we were all like, man, that thing's gonna pop loose or shift or whatever, and
and to be honest,
almost no issues other than just anecdotal shit.
Well, the Athens system, when I seen it 2 years ago when it came out at the ATA show, I actually had my hands on the bow and was looking at it, actually timed it and moved it. That system, in my opinion, was superior to what Bowtech had out. Bigger set screws, bigger, beefier system, bigger worm gears. Everything about it just screamed quality and it's not going to move type deal. And but it sucks because everybody at the ATA show looked at it that year and said, "Yeah,
Bowtech's coming.
Yeah, Bowtech's coming. This is a complete knockoff of what they did." And I just don't understand that. When you're really going to design it, it's going to cause controversy unless you got a solid attorney that's going to go to court and fight them on that. And you've got something just different enough to get around that patent. And how many thousands of dollars is that going to cost you to prove your point?
Is it worth it more to go through the legal battle to prove that your shit's different, or is it going to end up being cheaper to just hand them $16 bill every time you build a bow.
Yeah. You know what sucks about that though, even as an industry? I mean, not just archery, it can be any industry. I mean, sometimes that kills innovation.
Yeah.
To a
Oh
degree.
yeah. 100%.
Because I will tell you now, seriously, Athens, their system was light years better than Bowtech's. But Bowtech, you look at the time frame they designed it, 5-6 years prior. They've been living on that design now for the last 6-7 years, and somebody came out and said, "Hey, let's do it, but we'll do it better."
Yeah.
And matter of fact, if I was Bowtech,
can't
I would
build a-
yeah, I would have taken that and said, "Yeah, let's integrate that thing because it is better." And it sucks because it kills innovation to a degree.
Yeah.
You know, the legal system, the courts, the patents. I get it. They're valuable to hold the intellectual capital that it takes to design these things, and you should be rewarded for that. But on the flip side of it, everybody tries to build a better mousetrap, and it sucks because sometimes we could be shooting better stuff or have better stuff in everything that we do, but patents, man, they stop that dead in their tracks.
Well, and I mean, I think we see it a little bit with like how stuff kind of resurges over the years, and I would assume, and this is blind speculation, obviously, I would assume that a lot of that stuff that resurfaces, maybe it's throwing shade at Dart here a little bit, but like back in the day, PSE on I think it was the Moneymakers and maybe a couple other bows, but they had the independent limb adjustments for the pockets. Like each limb was had its own independent limb pocket. For the most part, it's the same fucking thing as us having the jack screws in the sequels. The sequels, the Exodus and Departure right now. So, like, I mean, old stuff always ends up kind of turning back around. Hell, Elite with the yoke adjustment system is almost the same as the Martin one from 30 years ago. Like, old is new again and a lot of stuff. But
You just redo it.
I would assume that a lot of that stuff kind of resurfaces because there's not, like, hey, we're not using that technology anymore, so why are we paying for the patent? They just let it expire.
And eventually you're going to hit a wall. I mean, we say this every year. Has archery hit a wall?
We've been saying our bows aren't getting any better for the last 30 years.
Well, and on a serious note, I mean, there are a couple of things out there that people could, you could do. But, I mean, honestly, are we beating that 350, 360 feet per second number that's in a shootable platform? That's the $1 million question.
I've heard stories of Strother's desk where he's got like just a row of cams and whatever the ones on the end was like from back in the 90s, and he's the cam on the other end. He's like, yeah, that one will do 400 feet a second. Yeah. And he's just waiting for everybody else to catch up. Now, that blind speculation of, bar talk stories, but, like who's to say that there isn't somebody that has shit design and they're just smart enough to not
Put it out there.
Put all their eggs in one basket and get their $500,000 and that'd be the end of it.
Exactly. Well, and it goes back to the whole, you got it potentially. Let's just hold it and let's see what happens. But then again, is it a shootable platform?
That's the big one.
That's the big one.
If it's going to go over 400 feet per second, is it going to rip my shoulder off? Can I shoot it more than 6 times in a row?
But I think there's a whole market of Cam Haines, Joe Rogans of the world, these big monster beef heads that are, have no problem drawing 80 pounds, and a cam that's running 400 easily, they wouldn't have an issue with it.
Well, I don't know if you've seen that clip. It's on Facebook. It's from APA in Canada, and they did a 100-pound Black Mamba bow.
Oh, I think
with like a 1,200 grain arrow, something like that. And I mean, they shot it to the chrono, and this thing went. I think it hit like 187 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, and they were so excited about it because it was like an elephant arrow. It was like between 12 and 1,600 grain arrow out of a 100-pound bow at 30 inches, and it was only going 187.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But that's
I'd rather get hit by a truck than that thing, though.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, but if you're an elephant, the truck's not going to survive.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but you shoot that thing with like a blunt tip at somebody's chest.
Yeah.
Well,
the broadhead this dude was shooting was like almost like an iron will, but like the size of my hand.
Yeah. Like the big.
It was a spade.
Big Clovis style points.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny because a whole nother, subject matter you could talk about, and we are getting close to hunting season, so it could be pertinent. Go down this rabbit hole and we've talked about this in the past. Is these arrow weight, these systems, and these arrow companies that are coming out building these systems that are in my opinion, just insanely overkill when it comes to arrow weight. 150, 250 grain broadheads, these exotic broadheads that are coming out, these insert titanium systems that are, and I'll argue that titanium thing till I'm blue in the face. But these exotic materials and metals that they're making for arrow components now, and, is it overkill? Or are they just trying to create a new market that is so irrelevant potentially, but it captures the fancy of people because it's bigger and better? Is it really bigger and better? And there's so much debate about that. And it's all driven by social media.
Well,
100% of it.
You just wait. Somebody's going to come out with a tungsten broadhead, and each broadhead's going to be like $200.
Yeah.
But they last forever.
Oh yeah.
I just mark my words. It's coming.
Yeah.
So we already used tungsten glue and points.
That's what I'm saying. The broadhead is coming.
You think so?
Watch.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, we already use titanium, and I just think that it's not the greatest material for an arrow, in my opinion, because it's stronger than a carbon, which means the carbon's going to break. The titanium is not.
Yeah.
I've always been of the opinion that your outsert should be malleable enough that it bends or breaks before your carbon does, to save your $30 freaking arrow.
Yeah.
And then you put these titanium components on there, and now you've taken away the ability for that carbon to survive an impact that's not normal. The titanium will survive, and it costs you like $8 to $10, but your $30 carbon arrow is done. I mean, it's trashed, and
Dude.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it sounds like somebody's trying to jumpstart a Volkswagen Beetle in our jungle.
Yeah, I know.
You wanna
That
hit the
stupid
switch,
pump.
Bridger?
Yeah, that thing is on the very back.
It's
of
at the top.
Just very back right hand side. Our waterfall thing, the very bottom, is dying. Yeah, we got.
There we go.
Send that back.
We're not always perfect, folks.
No. Anyways, no, but that's a whole other subject matter to talk through. Is this exotic arrows and these there's a company called Day 6 out there. Built a great arrow. It's a good system, but they have an entire system built around their broadheads, their arrow builds, and everything. Bill at Iron Will's doing the same thing now. I mean, and then you look at Ultraview. I mean, with their $250 for 6-pack arrows, and with their new aerodynamic vanes that they put on there, and is there any validity to that as a better arrow than, I don't know, an Easton Axis with AAE fletchings on there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, fun fact: have you read any of the precision cut arrow study stuff?
No, I haven't. I heard about that.
It's
I heard that
actually
came out
super interesting.
Yeah, I heard there's some really good stuff in that.
Surprisingly, that DCA vane did, like, from what their testing parameters were, the DCA performed the best. And so, like, they had a couple different ones that I should look it up so I don't sound like an idiot. But
You're talking about the one that they just did at the Easton Center?
Yeah,
Released
the
it. Yeah,
Easton
they just
Center. They
released it.
released it.
Because I was up
less
there
than a
talking to
month
Cody
ago.
about it. And he was telling me about the AE Max was one of the
It was one of the lowest.
Yeah, it was one of the
vanes
lowest
in their-
performing.
in their test.
Oh,
Yeah.
honestly, let's be honest. The AE Max has been around a long time. I have always said the material's too soft to perform like these newer vanes that are coming out. They're going to stiffer and stiffer materials.
Correct. Stiff and light.
And stiff and light, exactly. And that's kind of like the holy grail where that whole industry's moved to. So that did not surprise me. But AAE has such a following. I mean, dude, they've won, God, how many?
They win a lot.
They win
I
a
mean,
lot.
obviously, it's
You
a
just
good
have to
vane.
reflect a
Like,
lot.
It's a good vein.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you can use data all you want, but like real world results are also data.
Correct.
Like that's data too.
I mean, the only thing I
And-
didn't like was I don't mind the priming and gluing and
Oh,
all
I
that
hate it.
extra step.
Hate
I'm
it.
good with that. The Max for me has always worked really
Yeah.
well, but the hybrids, dude, if you look at them the wrong way, they tear. That was a
It
big
is
thing.
a softer material,
Yeah.
which I mean, for us, for target shooting is great. For hunting though, like I shoot one group and I got to refletch my arrows.
Yeah.
Or I shoot one animal and you got to refletch your stuff. And they are a little louder just from the flutter from that material being ever so slightly softer. But I mean, it's still a good vein. But that test or that study was actually pretty interesting. The only thing I didn't like about it was, and maybe it's just because I'm not a science dude, but when they were doing the crosswind effect testing, all of that was simulated. So they used all the data that they pulled on like just their standardized testing,
Right.
and then we're able to input certain stuff into the computer system to manipulate or to have it synthesize it. Getting a 10-mile-an-hour crosswind, I think was what they tested
Simulated.
off of or simulated. But
They should have came to Texas and shot down here. They could have got real world simulation.
They should have just gotten.
I mean,
they should have just gotten Jimmy to do some wind
I don't know
tuning.
how you would measure that though, because I imagine it's hard to get a wind tunnel. Like you can get it in a wind tunnel, and I don't know how big wind tunnels are, but I assume they're like 20
yards.
Well, yeah, exactly. The wind tunnel itself is like maybe 30 feet long or whatever, 30 or 40 feet long.
Yeah.
But it's only like 12 feet wide.
Right.
And then you got to shoot against the crosswind. So I don't know how, that's probably a challenging wind tunnel to find.
Yeah.
Well, and they were shooting out of a Hooter shooter too.
They were what?
They were shooting out of a machine,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would rather it be shot out of a machine.
so that way everything was equal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have no human factor to an impact.
exactly. You get a better test.
Exactly. Yeah. So what was I guess the big thing was, were they just testing what they think would be the overall best air vane build?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting test, but I mean, golly, now I feel like a dummy because I can't remember anybody's name in there, but the way the one gentleman talked about it, and it was hold on, let me look it up here. It was a gentleman that works for, is it Western Outdoors?
Western Recreation?
Not Western Rec, but, golly, I just feel like an idiot right now.
Let me ask you a question while you're looking that up. Do you think any bias towards product lines, or were they completely unbiased?
That was one thing I feel like it seemed like they did a pretty good job with.
Yeah. Just left.
Yeah. James Yates.
Okay.
So if you read through his article, it's a pretty good synopsis of how the study was conducted. And basically his thing was man, we'll use this to find the vein, based on what type of a shooter you are and how quality of a shooter you are, what type of veins or what type of broadheads you use, what type of game you're going after. He used a couple different examples. For him, his favorite veins, the Flex Fletch FP 360s, which are what I use for indoor shooting. And I actually did refletch my outdoor or my hunting arrows with those. But he goes, I like those because they're stupid quiet. They have a pretty good lift coefficient, which the lift coefficient would be basically how much drag the vein is grabbing. Right. So if your veins going this way and drag going this way, that's or how much air it's grabbing to correct the arrow flight is your drag coefficient. Right. And based on noise, drag coefficient, and overall weight, the 360 was a very high performant vein. Because I choose that one because I don't need. It is a decent sized vein, but it's fairly low profile. He's like, I don't need anything really bigger than that to handle, a 2-blade iron will or a couple other different broadheads that they had tested. That type of design, standard 3-blade type of deal, like a Monotech or an M3. Mm-hmm. But he goes, I've got a buddy that shoots. He's not as experienced of a hunter, doesn't shoot quite as much at distance.
Yeah, and.
For him, we picked out the air razors in a 4-fletch because that one was still fairly quiet, but had an even higher lift coefficient based on the arrow weight, or based on the weight of the vein itself. Right.
All right. So Precision, are they going to come out with a tape system, kind of like what they have with the Archer's Advantage, or?
Well, they actually in the Precision Cut one, if you read through. So if you go on their website, and I'm looking at it right now. If you go on their website, they have 3 different ways that you can read it. So they've got, or a couple different ways. They have the performance overview for the veins, broadhead and aerodynamic drag, which both of those are written by Tristan Litke, which is the Precision Cut dude.
Right.
And then you have the ballistic study results article by James Yates for Western Hunter, and then just the YouTube video by James, and then just their overall raw data.
Yeah.
So, reading through it, there's a couple. They tested a bunch of different veins. I think it was 20 or 30 different types of veins, and a couple different broadheads and stuff. I don't know what. I think most of their study was focused on the performance of the veins themselves, but they used the broadheads as well.
Yeah.
And we're able to gather some data on those, as well as a couple different size arrows. For most of their testing, as far as the vein performance and broadhead performance goes, they were using a Easton Axis I think it was 27 or 28 inch arrow out of a 70-pound Hoyt AX2 out of that shooting machine. And then like they did multiple testing where they pulled the bow out of tune or they purposely torqued the bow.
Yeah.
And they used that to, produce poor arrow flight so that they could test how quickly it was correcting for the lift drag coefficient deal, as well as, just shooting different diameter arrows as well.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to look up when we took a quick break there because I can't remember what specifically it was, but I was actually kind of impressed and shocked by the percentage change from even going from like a 5mm axis size, axis Rampage, RIP from Victory. Hell, I think Ultra's the only one that doesn't have a 204 right now.
Right.
But any, that 203, 204 diameter arrow, axis style arrow, going from that to a 4mm. So like, I think in all their testing, they use Easton stuff. So they had the axis for their standardized testing,
long range,
and then their 4mm was the long range.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like the percentage change from wind drift as well as just drag coefficient for the vanes and stuff was like shockingly higher.
Yeah.
Way higher than I expected it to be, going from a 5 to a 4mm.
Right.
And same thing going from like a 6.5 standard diameter down to a 5mm.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. But you were asking the precision if they were going to do tapes. Like on the precision overview of everything, like they show how, like they have two generated tapes that they'll show at the bottom. Like, here's how this is what the difference looks like going from this is your broad, or this is your field point tape, or this would be a tape with, 3 360s versus a tape with a 4-fletch max stealth.
Right. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's a good question. Was there a lot of?
I mean, it's just like it shows a significant difference.
Was there a big difference between the 4 and the 3-fletch? In their
the loudest vane, I'm pretty sure that the loudest vane that they tested was a 4-fletch max stealth or a 4-fletch hybrid.
Yeah.
Try to look through.
I was curious if the data analytics were really in favor of a 4-fletch or against a 4-fletch going to a 3, just across all things being equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and because that's always a big one. Do you 4-fletch, do you 3-fletch?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like I've always said people 4-fletch because it looks cool. Is there an aerodynamic advantage to having 4-fletch versus 3?
Yeah. So like on this one, so I was talking before about the wind drift testing and stuff.
Yeah.
So like on their normalized wind drift or aerodynamic drag test, and then where am I looking at here? Aerodynamic drag. Chart shows aerodynamic drag constant for every vane combination in the study, plotted with 95 confidence intervals. Lower drag means less wind drift, but less correction.
Right.
The lowest one is a Flex 187, which that's not shocking. It's like that vane's
Tiny
like not even a half inch tall and not 2 inches long. So we use for a lot of basically a target vane.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was that? 3-fletch 2-degree helical. And then the highest ones, and actually the one with the most or with the largest variance was a 3-fletch max stealth with a 4-degree. And then the one with the most drag was a 4-fletch with 2-degree.
Yeah.
As far as and it's like a considerable amount more drag than any of those other.
So
arrows.
adding that 4th vane.
Yeah. Now that's correcting your arrow flight, which is a good thing, but you're also increasing the amount of drag, so you're losing velocity a lot quicker. The further
you are.
Right.
Which is what that specific chart's looking at in there.
Right.
But,
and that's one of the things I don't think is taken into account when you're talking about 4-fletch versus 3-fletch, because some guys, I always ask that question, hey, how far do you want to be able to lethally kill?
Yeah.
From a bow hunting standpoint. And I think that you have to take that into account when because you're looking online now, and I don't know if it's right or wrong. I personally don't think it's a good thing, but you got some of these social media guys, man, they're 4-fletching with massive 4-degree, 5-degree helical.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are creating the rifling effect's going to be amazing. The amount of spin rate they're putting on that arrow.
But the parachute you're building behind it.
Yeah, but the amount of air that is being dragged now with that arrow behind it, that plume is going to be just tenfold worse.
Yeah.
Now, is that a good or bad thing? And there's a lot of questions about that.
I mean, I think James's article does a great job at just doing a basic overview and hey, you're not you're not an engineer, you're a weekend warrior bow hunter dude. This is how you should like kind of interpret some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like he does a really good job with it, I think. And basically he says like, look, man, if you fletch your shit and you can't get your broadheads to hit, just put a bigger vane on the back.
Yeah.
Like I remember Tim Gillingham saying that like 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
Like, dude, per the laws of physics, we can't have more influence on the front of the arrow than the back.
Yeah.
You hear me say it all the time. It's like shooting a fixed blade broadhead is like trying to throw a Nerf ball backwards.
Yeah.
If you don't have more drag on the ass of that arrow, it's not gonna correct whatever's going on in the front. Now, if you're like the world's best shooter that hasn't existed yet and can make your shit work exactly the same every time, no matter what the conditions or situation is, then yeah, you can shoot a really small vane with a fixed blade broadhead without any problem. But
well, there's too many guys.
The chances of you not having any arrow deviation in flight or arrow flight deviation is almost effectively zero.
Yeah, and that's why I think because back in the day, the Blazer vanes took over this industry for basically 20 years, and now
the Blazers are actually a very high performing vane.
Well, because they're so tall. Yeah, it makes total sense
from a drag coefficient. And the only thing it seemed like they didn't do great on was, if I remember right, and I should look at it, but it was either wind drift and noise.
Yeah. But you got these guys now building these big, massive, wide cut broadheads. I mean, it's kind of like the new wave. It takes a lot of vane to steer a broadhead like that.
The lowest or the broadhead with the most deviation in flight was across the board, regardless of vane configuration, was an iron wheel wide.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always said that broadhead is not good. No offense to Bill, but we tested them when they first came out, and I've always said this, and I'll keep saying it. If you think the extra eighth to a quarter-inch cutting diameter is going to help you kill your animal quicker, you need to practice a whole hell of a lot more.
Shooting expandable, bro.
Yeah, well, that too.
Right.
Shooting expandable.
Oddly enough, the Evolution Jekyll fixed blade, which I honestly don't know anything about. I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah.
But that one for a fixed blade actually outperformed like 3 or 4 expandables.
Really?
Like standardized expandables. I think it grouped better than a Rage Tripan, which is what I shoot.
Yeah, right.
Because all their testing they did at 70, and they were saying, like, just a quick readout I was doing there, most of their field points averaged a 2 to 3 inch group at 70 yards out of that machine.
Right.
And the Jackals were averaging like 3.5.
Pretty close.
And the only thing that was matching or like within that same realm was, what was it, the Beast, the Thorn, the Sever 1.5, and I think one other one that I don't remember.
So the G5 wasn't up there. That's surprising because that's a really popular head right now.
The G5 monitor, or I guess the
not
M3
the Montec,
now,
but like the M3s.
The M3. I mean, it performed really well. It definitely did really well in noise, which I'm not shocked by. The other fixed blades that did good were the other 2 top performing fixed blades were the Slick Trick Standard, which I know you've killed.
Oh, I love that. That's just my favorite broadhead.
Yeah. Slick Trick Standard, and then the
I'm a Wicked Trick.
Here's the Wicked. See, you like the bright blade. That's crazy.
But
no, what about like where was the Mega Meat at on the
the Mega Meat was the worst performing expandable broadhead.
Are you kidding me?
It had it had more drag than like at least a quarter, maybe half of the fixed blades.
Because right now that is probably the number one selling mechanical broadhead, I think.
It's up there. I mean, for us at HQ, it's without a doubt our most popular one.
Yeah, a lot of people shooting that.
Mega Meats, I've always looked at as a medium range head, right? Probably no more than 50 yards.
I mean, it's definitely a bigger head, especially the Megas.
But if you want to go past that 50-yard mark, and you want to stay in that same platform, I would drop down to like a dead meat.
Yeah, the V2.
Yeah. You get a smaller cutting diameter, but you get better control, you get better accuracy. And it's still going to, shot placement is a big thing. And if you put that blade where it needs to go, it's going to do this job.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things, I think it's the one thing that's trivialized to the point that it's, we all say it and everybody thinks it's cliche, shot placement, but it is reality.
People forget about practice before going out there and just
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's what causes more. Here's the other thing too, man. Those animals are so unpredictable. You never know what happens on the shot. You physically see the shot hit where it is, but then, we've done enough video filming and editing when you don't see until you slow-mo it down what that animal is actually doing before their broadhead even gets there. And sometimes it's just bad luck.
Yeah.
And so much of this game is built around luck. It really is. You have, depending on how far that shot is, how much that animal's moved and transitioned his body to what you just don't physically see with the naked eye.
No.
You think it was a perfect shot,
I mean, dude, that happened to me in Colorado with that mule deer. I broke the shot perfect right in the crease, and by the time my arrow got to him, he had turned all the way enough to get hit behind the eye.
Yeah.
Which I was lucky as hell to hit him in the head, but had he gone just a little bit faster, I would have missed him completely. He would have turned all the way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not like I was shooting slow either. I was shooting a 70-pound bow with a 460 grain arrow, and it was going 285.
That's a quick arrow.
Yeah. Mule deer's faster. So you never know.
I missed 4. I airmailed 4 deer before I finally killed one of those fuckers.
Texas.
And you skewered one too.
That's
Like,
right.
you
I did put one in the shoulder, like a 40-pound doe.
Yeah.
I think I shot her in the
When
shoulder.
we're at that little property,
that place in cover,
and still took off.
People don't realize these deer in Texas are a different breed. I've said this before. You want to test your abilities and your skill set, come down here and shoot one of these suckers because, and there's so much study and talk, about being quiet. The bows are quiet, this and that. The bottom line is that your bow's never quieter than, and it's an uncharacteristic sound.
And the speed of sound,
And the speed of sound is 1,184 feet a second. Until we build a bow that goes that fast, those animals can react on that release going off, that bow going off, and they're going to beat you every time. They do it in Texas every week.
James talks about that in the Western Hunter article that he writes.
Oh, he does.
Writes about the study. He goes, when it comes to like air or bow noise, arrow noise, deer moving out of the way and stuff, like his opinion of it, and I would venture to say that I think he's maybe correct, or at least a large portion of it's probably correct, but he goes, I don't worry as much about bow noise. I mean, you don't want it to sound like a bag of hammers dropping, but a bow firing is going to be more similar to, at least talking in the like Western elk woods, a bow going off is going to be more similar to a stick snapping, tree falling over, just a branch breaking. Some small, quick little sound is not going to startle an animal quite as much as hearing something go getting closer to you. And that is generally what deer move out of the way for. Mm-hmm. And a good example of that, at least anecdotally for me, I was hunting with my dad, and he hunts with a longbow, and he's got 5-inch shield cut feathers on there. Exactly. It sounds like a flaming arrow in Lord of the Rings flying at you.
Yeah.
He shot at an axis buck that was 18 yards away, and his bow literally goes, like, that's how loud his fucking bow is. Yeah. Because he's got, like, the whole string's covered in beaver balls and shit.
Yeah.
And stupid quiet, but that arrow goes, like, you could hear it flying.
Yeah.
And he shot. That deer didn't move until the arrow was 10 feet out in front of my dad's bow. And then it's like, oh, I hear that, and got out of the way.
Yeah.
So, to me, and then we've always said it, too. I mean, back in the old days at the shop, we'd sit, like, behind the door and have an arrow fly by our face so we could hear how loud it was in flight, and we'd be in another room so that we're not hearing the bow going off. So
right.
Granted, this is redneck engineering, redneck testing, but
it's
we're trying to get rid of as many variables as we can, only using our ears. And the little box deal that the acoustic guy used to measure sound for the vane noise was actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You go on his website, he shows the whole deal on how he did it, but he literally has like a soundproof box with 2 holes, and the microphone's in the bottom of it, and you shoot the arrow through that.
Through it.
Mm-hmm. So you can measure all the acoustics off of the vane noise.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. But and this data is kind of cool, but at the end of the day, I think any unnatural sound in that environment is alerting every 100%. Animal, no matter what it is.
Yeah, 100%. If you have the ability to make your bow quieter without adding excess weight, making your bow too much, making it slower or making it misfit you or improperly fit you as a shooter, like 100% go for it. If it's just a difference of putting, half an ounce of rubber in the limbs or, putting a little Doinker A-bomb on your stabilizer, if the stuff like that makes a difference, like for sure, like I would 1,000% say do it. But if your bow's got a little bit of a slap to it, because like with Bryce at Summit Bowstrings, he doesn't do it. A lot of times we don't do speed buttons.
Yeah.
Little speed knocks on there, so that string doesn't get the whipping action, which the weight on that string will quiet it down a little bit, will increase your speed a little bit, but that whipping action just adds increased. It makes it snappy, but it adds increased tension, or not tension, but increased wear on that string. So without them, your strings will last a little longer and be more consistent over a longer period of time, but your bow does generate a slightly different noise because that string's it doesn't get that bow effect to it. So it just comes in and smacks right into your string stop. So you're going to get a little bit of, I'd say excess noise, but it's probably just a different noise.
It's a different
more
noise.
Than anything else.
I remember when Prime, with their 2-track cam system, it's a different noise. It's a tuning fork.
Well, between the excess material and the cam, because they got 2 of them on either side of the bow. Right. Plus, their aluminum is stiffer than aircraft grade aluminum, so it's at a much different harmonic.
Right. Yeah.
But eliminate as much noise as you can feasibly from the bow itself. But if you can limit the amount of noise your arrow is making, I think you're going to have way more success, and it's a hell of a lot easier.
I remember we put the Prime bows when that 2-track system on decibel meters with like Matthews, and they were as quiet within 1 or 2 decibels. They were close, but it was such a different sound because what you and I, all of us, are used to hearing a bow go off, and now all of a sudden you have this completely, and it's all harmonics. To your point, it's riser stiffness, and I think the other one is those 2 tracks. You're letting sound bounce in between those 2 cams harmonically,
it's room to move around and stuff.
Exactly, where we don't have to deal with that on a single track system. So it's a different ball game, and I used to deal with that from customers all the time. Oh my God, his bow's so loud. It's actually not. It's just not what you're used to hearing.
Yeah.
So it sounds different.
Way, way different.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Well, that's a cool. I have to spend some time reading this. I had heard about it, and I heard it was some pretty in-depth stuff.
It's cool. You're an engineer. You would actually
geek out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa will wonder where you're at because you'll be in the bathroom for 2 hours.
Read the whole thing 3 times.
Sorry.
Well, and you know what's funny? And we're sitting here talking about that, and because we're doing video now, if we would have known with subject matter, we could have brought in I've got a plethora of broadheads that we
just
could
do it on the next episode.
Yeah, we could have showed the listener what we're talking about. I mean, from wide to, and the other thing is I think, talking about broadheads, I always say that the angle of attack on the blade profile, I think, is as important as the weight, the wide cut, and all that other stuff, because there are some blade profiles that are extremely obtuse and not acute, and deflection's a real problem. I have literally seen it on tape, video. A friend of ours shot an oryx with a really, I'm not going to say what broadhead it was, but because I don't want to, we're not here to bash him, but yet a real world
bash him.
Yeah, a real world part of it is he hit it in the shoulder, and the layman, you look at it, you're like, that oryx is dead. He's done.
Yeah.
Don't realize that sucker hit that elbow on the shoulder, that little hard piece. Mm-hmm. That arrow ended up taking literally a right-hand turn inside that animal and came out his butt. Yeah. And they had to shoot it with a rifle to kill it because it ended up turning what looks like a perfect double-long heart shot turned into a gut shot. Yeah. Because the deflection of that broadhead and that angle was so – it caused that arrow to do a right-hand turn. I would have never believed it if I wouldn't have seen it because he had the video of the shot. Yeah, that animal's dead. And then he had a post-up video of walking to that animal and showing where the broadhead was sticking out his butt. Yeah. And you're like – there's no way that shot I seen on video happened.
It turned
into that. Yeah, but it 100% did. When they skinned it and gutted it, the wound track was unbelievable.
I mean, I would, and this is me being a pessimist, but I would argue that you could almost probably take damn near any other broadhead and put it in that exact same situation, and it may not be the exact same result, but it's probably going to be just as negative. Like the end result is going to be the same in that like they still have to shoot that thing with a rifle,
right?
So like that's why like for me, if we're talking about broadheads and stuff, like for me, I'm always an expandable guy because 99% of the arrows I shoot are in a competitive format where accuracy is the only thing that matters.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I chase in my hunting setups. Now, I know I need to have like a certain weight arrow. It's got to be going a certain speed. I want to have enough energy to be able to deploy a mechanical broadhead effectively in whatever size game. But I know that my mechanical broadhead is going to fly as good or better than any fixed blade out there.
Always.
Just due to the laws of physics.
Yeah.
So, which I guess maybe I should rethink my deal and shoot a Jekyll, because apparently that thing performs every bit as good as a lot of the mechanical broadheads that I've used in the past.
Right.
But I mean, I also like cutting a 2-inch hole and shit. So
yeah,
it's a lot easier to
you shot nothing but mechanicals, correct?
No, well, I shoot those slick tricks as well.
Yeah, the 4 blades.
Yeah, whether it's the Wicked trick, the Viper trick, or just a slick trick, standard or stainless.
Right.
But for mechanicals, I've dabbled with a couple. Obviously, Mega Meats were the number ones for me. I mean, I shot a turkey with a Mega Meat and took half his head off and then skewered him into the ground. But I shot at a turkey with another new blade that had come out a couple years ago. It was a 2-blade expandable, but the launch angle on it was, I mean, it almost looked like it was flying flat when it hit, right? And that turkey just, I swear, he looked at that arrow coming in and went, didn't do anything. Just hit its guard feathers and didn't penetrate.
People underestimate the strength of those guard feathers.
Yeah. If you don't have something that's going to pierce through those guard feathers,
I've got my buddy has a slow-mo video. Back in the day, Dead Ringer had a expandable, it was like an expandable decapitator head.
That like 2.5 inch, 3 inch.
I killed a turkey with it, but I hit it and the blades were like vertical, so it cut his face off instead of cutting his head off. But my buddy Blake, he's like, I want to body shoot one with this. So he waited until he literally called a bird like to me to Jason away.
Yeah.
And shot at it. And he's got a slow-mo video. You can see that arrow going in and that turkey like hears it and just lifts its wing like this and the arrow goes doink.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
7 yards or less than 3 or 4 yards.
Right.
70 pounds out of it was like a Halon 6 shooting a red Carvin Express red.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not a crazy arrow, but it's a 23-pound bird.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That thing just went doink and it just boonk, looked like a suction cup arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I've shot all kinds of stuff. One of my favorite things was a Muzzy. Just a Muzzy standard. I shot a water buffalo with that Muzzy standard. And then I went to Mexico with, I think I was shooting trocar hybrids. Mm-hmm. And the ranch manager did not want any mechanicals or any hybrids there because a lot of them failed to open, wounded a lot of animals. Just had all these issues with them. So the only other thing that I had, because we knew that we were going to shoot some javelinas, were just some trash Amazon fixed blades.
Oh, yeah.
I threw one on those and I stunned a deer. And hopefully one day we could put a clip of this in there, because I shot that deer and that deer literally jumped up and landed on his back and did a backflip and just stayed there kicking. I'm like, okay,
dude,
that's weird.
You put
it's an Amazon blade, bro.
Or you put any broadhead in the right spot. Like it's going to kill whatever it is it's getting launched at.
Yeah.
I tell guys all the time, or, guys will come into the store like, oh, what broadhead should I use? It's like, man,
a sharp one.
A sharp one. Every broadhead that's mass produced and in production for sale in the United States and across most of the planet has killed more animals than any single hunter's ever going to kill in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So, like, dude, find the one that whatever you end up having the most success with is generally the one that you're going to have, or, have the most confidence in and end up having the most success with.
Yeah. No doubt.
So if you come to full draw and you think like, man, if I put it in the right spot, it's going to die, like you're going to have a lot higher percentage of putting it in the right spot.
It goes back to this saying, and we've been saying this, I know, for 5 years since we've been doing this show, and I'm going to keep repeating it, because if the listener, average guy out there, gal, would take all the time they're spending on social media, spending on and reading information, talking to all their buddies, looking at and listening to everything that is out there available for a broadhead, what do I choose, what do I shoot, and everything. You spend that time behind your bow, making yourself the best archer you can be. You can literally shoot whatever in the hell you want and go kill whatever you want. Literally. I mean,
stop listening to our show and shoot.
Yeah, seriously.
But no, it is reality, and because, like you said, everything you do with your bow, and I think all three of us sitting here, everything we do is centered around how accurate we can be. That is first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then everything else kind of just falls into place. You
Yeah.
know, we can go out and go pick, like you said, whatever we want to shoot and go effectively kill with it, because we have all the trust and the ability to make sure our arrow hits exactly where we aim.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game. All right, folks.
Well,
I'm trying to keep these at an hour, and we're pretty close here. So
yeah,
we'll
we're getting close. But before we go, we'd be remiss to mention the World Games just ended for the compound side.
Yeah, let's.
Mike, I think Mikey now the only thing he hasn't won is a
Olympic medal.
Well, Olympic and available medals right now is World 3D. I think.
Yeah.
Well, has he won a field? Did Mike win a field?
I'm pretty sure he has.
I know.
Let's
like
save that for the next episode because we gotta. We're trying to keep these suckers in an hour, and we'll have another one because this was a cool show though, talking about hunting. I think so. We'll leave it at that. Other than that, folks, we appreciate you. Thanks a lot for listening. Let us know what you want to hear. We're here to talk about.
And since we are on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share
all that
to your
fun
friends.
stuff.
Yeah. Get us a whole bunch of viewers.
Yep. Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks.